Webster Dictionary defines a partnership as a relationship involving close cooperation between parties with joint rights and responsibilities. Wow. But to us at the Novi Public Library, a partnership is an opportunity to work with organizations within our local community and to provide a better variety and quality of library programs and services. Hello and welcome to the 2012 winter edition of Beyond Books, your local cable information source for the Novi Public Library. I'm Laura Litticoat, and today we'll be discussing community partnerships and the resulting programs to be offered this winter at the library. You also may notice that this is a first for us today, the first time that we'll tape remotely. Today we'll tape here at the Novi Public Library and later at the Evola showroom in Bloomfield Hills. And to help us celebrate with this day of firsts, I have three very special guests. Julie Farkas, Novi Public Library Director, Steve Wogeman, the Chamber Music Society of Detroit President, and Lou Martin, Providence Park Hospital Marketing and Communications Director. And to start our discussion, I welcome our own Library Director, Julie Farkas. Welcome, Julie, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, Laura, and to everyone who's watching today. It's hard to believe it's 2012.
It is, though.
And we have some wonderful new firsts, as you mentioned, programs that we're going to be offering this year in January and throughout the months that are upcoming. The first thing I want to point out to you, and this is no surprise to you, but it might be to some of our watchers at home or viewers, is that the library was awarded the Library of the Year from the state of Michigan for excellent customer service and innovative services. And we received that award in late fall. Around the end of October, and we're actually standing right with our new poster sign that we have now permanently in our library, boasting such a wonderful award. And
absolutely,
that's the first thing I wanted to point out to our viewers, is that we are the best, and we know that, and we hope that people are enjoying this wonderful library and taking the opportunity to come out and to see us. And because they are coming to a state-of-the-art library, they are coming to an amazing library when they step through our doors.
You know, and that's right, and I think because we look at different ways of helping our customers, this is where our partnership really kind of falls into place too. One way we can do customer service is working with our patrons and making sure we understand what they need, but also working with our community and see what we can provide on a better basis.
Absolutely.
Well, and you know, later on in the broadcast, I'll be discussing the library's partnership with the Chamber Music Society of Detroit and Providence St. John, but could you highlight some of the other partnerships we have going with the library?
We have some wonderful partnerships, first with our school district. The Novi School District has been wonderful working with us, and we have a 7 Habits of Highly Effective People book discussion.
Right.
We actually ran it last fall, and because of the interest, we'll be starting it back up again also in 2012. And I know that you put up slides and put up dates and information, so we won't get too technical with all the details, but I encourage people who want to go back and live that book and obviously the concepts from it to take part in that program. It was very well received in the fall, which is why we're running another group for people. Also, we have, and this is going to be a long name, so the Oakland County Community Mental Health Authority came on board with us, and we have some wonderful programs coming up. The impact of bipolar disorder, mental health literacy, and growing old gracefully. So these are some great programs coming up January, February, and March that I want people to know about and understand that we've got some really great resources, Oakland County plus, throughout Michigan, that we tap into on a regular basis and want people to know that they've got a location here where they can come and get that information. So those are just a couple of the things that are coming up for January.
Well, one other thing too is we have the homeowners breakfast, so we're partnering with the city to provide information on not only the city but the library.
Right. Absolutely, and that to me is a key partnership, because any homeowner that's listening or watching right now, I want them to know that we have a place for them if they're looking for holding their quarterly or their annual meetings. If they're looking for a new location, they can bring those meetings here to the library. And all we want to do, typically we have a rental fee when we host people here at the library if they're using one of our meeting rooms. We will give our meeting rooms up for free if they give the library an opportunity to give them a tour or talk about what's going on at the library, in the upcoming months. So we want to connect with them, with our homeowners and with our community, and that's a great way to do it. So the homeowners breakfast on the 21st of January will be a key program for us, but also then I hope to outreach with them throughout the year.
That's great. Well, and kind of switching gears too, we have an upcoming event too, our second annual Book It fundraiser. Now that's on Friday, April 27th, moving ahead a little bit.
It is.
From 7 to 10, but can you give us some details on that too?
Sure, absolutely. I'm so proud of this program. You know, fundraisers are new to the library.
Right.
And we're doing that because we have seen shortages in our tax revenue, and we're trying to make our budgets work for us, and we want to continue the services and programs that we've always done. So by doing some fundraising, that gives us the opportunity to get those extra dollars in and help with. Last year we raised just over $10,000 for our youth collections, so that helps us buy new materials in the youth area. And this year's event is going to be a Hollywood Nights theme, so we're going to have a lot of fun with the Hollywood theme. We have, in fact, I can tell you already that Telcom Credit Union and Providence Park Hospital have both are coming on board as sponsors of the program, so good support from our community. And this is a fun event. It's from 7 to 10. We want people to come into the library, have a good time. There's going to be spirits, which I call wine and beer. You know, people can have a good time with that. There's going to be entertainment. There will be a silent and live auction. So just a lot of fun and a great night out for people when you're looking for something on a Friday evening, and that's April 27th.
Well, that's super. Well, and you know, that kind of wraps up a phenomenal year we've had with the library. Library of the Year, we've had record increases in all our library usage statistics and other awards too. Can you just maybe give us a brief synopsis and elaborate for us?
Well, what I'm so proud of is that close to anywhere from 29 to over 40% increases in the different services that we've been providing here at the library. So we've seen more people in the building this year than last year. They're checking out more books and materials than they ever have before. We are very busy, and that's just a testament, I think, to how much the community enjoys us, really uses us as a resource, and we continue to do great things. And that Library of the Year, again, if I go back to that, that's just an example of how great we are and what we're doing for our community. So it's been a pleasure serving our community and working with everyone who does come in either virtually, because our website is a wonderful website to use, or if they're coming in the doors on a regular basis.
Well, thank you so much, Julie. And it's, again, a great way to start the new year. Now stay tuned as we discuss the library's newest partnerships to provide music and good health to our community. Thank you.
28% of teens know a classmate who's used ecstasy. I don't want to be a statistic, so that's why I'm addicted to video games, not drugs.
That was beautiful. Now that we got your attention, welcome back to Beyond Books. Now, as you can see, we're trying something a little new today. In an innovative and new partnership, the library, the Chamber Music Society of Detroit, and PNC Bank are presenting Listen at the Library. It's a series of free family concerts performed by internationally acclaimed artists right at the Novi Public Library. Now, to tell us more, I welcome our very special guest, Steve Wagaman. He's the CMSD president, obviously an accomplished pianist, and an innovative music educator. So welcome so much, Steve.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
It really is. This is a beautiful site. We're at the Evola site in Bloomfield Hills. They also have another site in Canton, and it's well worth visiting if you have interest in music, piano, and so on. But maybe we'll start first if you can give us some background on the Chamber Music Society of Detroit.
Sure. Well, the Chamber Music Society of Detroit was founded in 1944 by a guy named Carl Haas. And that name may not mean too much to people, except that if they listen to the radio, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, there was a classical music education program that always started like this. And I've always wanted to do this now that I have this job.
Great.
Hello,
Totally
everyone.
recognize
He
this.
would say, hello, everyone, and that would start it. At any rate, Carl Haas was a pianist and a really gifted and imaginative music educator. And he started this chamber music series actually in downtown Detroit at the DIA, and then later at Wayne State. His lectures before the concerts were what evolved into that radio program. But the Chamber Music Society of Detroit, now in its 68th season, has evolved into one of the most important chamber music presenters in the United States, presenting the likes of the Tokyo String Quartet or the Juilliard Quartet or Windscape, some really major international artists in chamber music settings, mostly at the Seligman Performing Arts Center on the campus of Detroit Country Day, but also now in other places around the community, and we're thrilled to be involved with the Novi Public Library.
Oh, well, we are too. And, you know, I think chamber music, a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions on what is chamber music. Can you break some misconceptions?
Sure. Well, chamber music it's my favorite kind of music. Let me give you sort of three definitions.
Okay.
The first one, where does the word chamber come from? Well, it's music that's really written for a smaller setting, a smaller room. And back in the day when it was written, most of this music would not have been heard in concert halls. It would have been heard in usually large homes, but it would have been heard in homes or palaces or whatever. And so there's a certain intimate character to it. But then the strict definition of chamber music is more than one person, but one on a part. So for example, you wouldn't have, in an orchestra, you have all the first violins all playing the same first violin part. You wouldn't have that in chamber music. In a string quartet, you would have one person on the first violin, one person on the second violin, one person on the viola, one person on the cello. And so there's this incredible investment in the part they're playing. You could equate it a little bit to a choir versus a solo vocal quartet.
Okay.
But then the third definition of chamber music, and it's really what attracts me to it, is that it's so incredibly expressive. And honestly, when you put the three definitions together, hearing chamber music in a small setting, like for example the community room at the Novi Public Library, it has the sensory impact of a rock concert. It's incredibly powerful right there, sort of in your face. It's amazing, amazing music.
Yeah, you know, and it really is. I didn't really understand as much, but you know, being here with you today and listening to you play and listening to a little bit, it's going to be something I think the whole community is going to enjoy.
Well, it's very special music. Now, the Chamber Music Society of Detroit also adds into the chamber music definition solo piano recitals.
Okay.
And we actually have a series of solo piano recitals every year. And one of the programs at Listen at the Library will be a solo piano program. And in fact, I got drafted. So
You sure did, and actually, that's going to be on March 4th, to be exact. You got drafted,
I got
so we're going to
drafted.
be very excited to host you right at our own library.
well, that'll be fun. The other dates, February 5th and April 1st, are dates where we had artists in town to do their major concerts on our concert series, and so we simply asked them to stay an extra day, and they were happy to do that, and so they'll be coming over to the Novi Public Library and doing that informal program the next day. We didn't have one in early March, so that's why I got drafted.
Well, we're glad you did. Well, maybe on that note, could you give us another little sampling of maybe what they'll see on your concert?
Sure. Well, the thing I really love to do, I have a background of doing music outreach programs where I actually took a piano on the back of a U-Haul truck all over the state of Kentucky, go figure. But what I really love to do is to talk about musical ideas. And this is the most marvelous machine for producing musical ideas. And so you can have a fairly simple idea, which is really just pushing the keys down. I like that part. At any rate, that's by Johann Sebastian Bach, and he actually predated the piano. The piano was just barely invented when he was active and composing, and so the modern piano was something he never would have experienced. But then you get into someone like Beethoven,
Right.
And Beethoven creates musical ideas that use the full range of possibilities on the piano. So, for example, he could start with a melody like this. And of course, the piano's got more than one note at a time, so you can add more.
Oh, yes.
And then the piano has, actually, do you know where the name piano comes from? Piano in Italian means soft, and the pianoforte was the soft loud, and so it could be both soft and loud. So Beethoven used that. And then of course, you can move your fingers faster than that. So that's a very cool musical idea, and I'll probably bring that musical idea out at the program and sort of deconstruct it. But then the piano is also capable of singing. Now it's a percussion instrument. If you look inside, there's hammers that come up. In fact, should we?
Yeah.
This is a little bit nutty, but
Hopefully we can catch all this.
I'm sure we can. What's he doing? Piano functions like a seesaw. When it goes down on one side, it goes up on the other. And this incredibly complicated mechanism allows you to have very, very minute variations in the way you produce the sound. I have to push this back very carefully so I don't break off any of these hammers. Kids, don't try this at home. But the instrument is capable of incredibly subtle, soft, sort of a blanket of sound, and then a melody. And that's a very different kind of a color palette than.
Absolutely.
So there's incredible variety of sound, and you know, when composers take these musical ideas which have a certain expressive content and put them together in big pieces, it's a little bit like someone who has the ability to write beautiful words, and then they construct them into a story or a book. So you know, I'm thrilled that we're doing this at a library because there's so much in common between chamber music and great reading.
You know, you're absolutely right. And let's actually let's talk a little bit more about the Listen at the Library concert series. Obviously, they're family concerts. They're going to be on Sundays. They're from 3 to 4 at the library. But what else can you tell us about them?
Well, imagine something very, very informal. Let's take the first one, for example, the Shanghai String Quartet, which is one of the finest string quartets on the planet. They're really, really fine. They'll be coming at 3 o'clock on Sunday, February 5th, which is in fact Super Bowl Sunday.
That's right.
They will be done before kickoff, we promise. You can still make it to your party. But the Shanghai Quartet, imagine that they'll be on a low platform, maybe only 6 inches off the ground, and the first rows will be kids sitting on the floor.
Okay.
And then parents can have chairs, or maybe not, depends on what they want. But the quartet will explain what they do. They'll explain how their instrument works, how their instruments work. They'll play perhaps movements, whole movements, but perhaps only excerpts. But they'll play some absolutely wonderful music from the string quartet literature, which is among the finest bodies of literature there is. It's just amazing music. And there'll even be an opportunity for kids to ask questions and get their questions answered. Squirming is allowed.
And encouraged.
Encouraged. You know, I would probably recommend that anybody under 3 might not get much out of it, but I've seen these programs work with kids that are 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old.
Great.
And certainly if there are elementary, middle school, high school students who are studying string instruments, they need to come to this program because it's an opportunity to get closer even than our concerts to some of the finest performers in the world.
Great, and again, that's the Shanghai Quartet, February 5th, yourself on March 4th, and then we actually have Carol Winsick from Juilliard, she's the top flute teacher, and Nancy Allen from the New York Philharmonic, the principal harpist, on April 1st.
This is amazing, and it's because they and another friend are performing a concert the night before. Carol Winsick is one of the finest flutists there has ever been. Just an amazing player. A lot of composers have written great music for her. So she's premiered a lot of music. And Nancy Allen is I mean, how many harp jobs are there in the country? And she's got the plum job as the principal harpist of the New York Philharmonic. She also teaches at Juilliard. But there's a lot of really great music for flute and harp. One interesting thing about the flute has scientifically the purest sound. If you've ever seen a sine wave, which is sort of this perfectly smooth sound wave, that's almost exactly the sound that a flute produces. So the combination of the harp and the flute, it's piano can't do that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and in addition to the Listen at the Library series, the Chamber Music Society of Detroit, working with the Novi Community School District and again with PNC Bank, is offering family concerts starting in May at the Novi High School. Can you tell us a little bit about that too?
Well, you know, we actually explored several places to do these kinds of programs over along the I-275 corridor. And we drove on to the Novi Public Library and High School campus, and I guess the government building is there as well. It's an amazing facility because you've got right next to the public library a high school with a really marvelous auditorium. Mm-hmm. And so the idea with the family concert is that we ramp it up a bit. We're bringing in Windscape, which is one of the finest wind quintets in the world. That's flute, clarinet, oboe, bassoon, and French horn. Right. Now, French horn is a brass instrument, but they throw it in anyway because it's gorgeous. So that's a wind quintet, and they'll be doing a similarly informal program, but in the auditorium, and it has a very low ticket price, I know.
Right, tickets are $5 for students, $10 for adults, and $25 for families.
So in other words, if you've got 3 kids, you don't have to pay $10 plus $10 plus $5 plus $5 plus $5, which would keep me away too. Just $25 brings in the whole family.
Well, and tickets are available really 2 ways. You could call the CSMD box office at 248-855-6070 or go online to comeherecmsd.org/family concerts.
Right, and that's actually Come Here. It's not Come Here. It's Come Here. COMEHEAR CMSD for Chamber Music Society Detroit.org. I think you can also Google Chamber Music Society of Detroit and it'll come up.
And the link's right on the library website as
Absolutely.
well. Well, and what I love too about this particular May concert series is that the library is getting involved as well, and they're going to be participating in providing a musical instrument petting zoo before each performance. So walk across the parking lot, come to the library, and I'm going to have you explain what a musical instrument petting zoo actually
So
is.
funny. When we were setting this up, we didn't carefully explain what this was, and someone at the library asked, well, what will we do with the animals?
Yeah.
Actually, a musical instrument petting zoo is an opportunity for kids mostly to try out a musical instrument. Violin, viola, cello, the brass instruments. And there's a very careful way you sanitize the mouthpieces between, for the
Okay.
wind instruments, you sanitize the mouthpieces between trials. But they'll be set up at little stations around the community room, a place to try out a particular kind of instrument. And this is especially neat for kids who are perhaps in the second or third grade and thinking about what instrument they might want to start playing when they're in the fourth or fifth grade.
Right.
It's a lot of fun, and that'll be for about an hour and 15 minutes before the 3 o'clock performance.
Exactly, from 1:30 to 2:45.
Right, and so the trick would be to come, get your tickets to the family concert, which is general admission. There's no reserved seating, but then come across the parking lot and enjoy the musical instrument petting zoo, and then head over to hear the concert played, to hear many of those same instruments played by absolute best in the world.
That's for sure. Well, and you know what, speaking for the library, we are so excited to be part of the Listen at the Library. We're excited to be part of the Musical Instrument Petting Zoo, and we hope this is really just the beginning of a great partnership between the Chamber Music Society of Detroit and the library. And we hope we can bring lots of accessible and engaging music to our community together.
Well, it's a great idea, and a special thanks to PNC Bank for actually
Absolutely.
volunteering to support this. This was, they heard about it and said, we really like that. And so that was kind of an exciting thing for us.
Well, and thank you too, Steve, for joining us today, for everything you do with the Chamber Music Society, and really just everything you've done with us at the library. We're just thrilled. And I guess I'd also like to say a sincere thanks to Evola Music for use of this beautiful piano, these facilities. And,
Well, and in fact,
Yes.
Evola Music is bringing the piano that I'll play at the library, so we are not worthy. Thank you very much.
thank you. And we'll continue our discussion on library partnerships with Lou Martin of Providence Hospital, so please stay tuned.
By the 8th grade, 20% of teens have already used marijuana.
We don't want to be a number,
That's why we're addicted to dance.
not drugs.
Welcome back to the Novi Public Library and Beyond Books. As part of an ongoing relationship between the library, Providence St. John Hospital, and the community, we are so proud to offer interactive discussions on hot topics in health, aptly named A Better You. As such, I welcome our friend and partner, Lou Martin from Providence St. John Hospital. Welcome, Lou. Can you tell us a little bit about Providence and its commitment to community health education?
Oh, sure. Thank you very much for having me. At Providence Park Hospital in Novi, and part of the St. John Providence Health System, we're very committed to educating the community and keeping the community healthy. It's not just marketing for us. The healthier and more well-informed the community is, the better off we all are, the better off we are as a hospital. Much of medical care is moving to outpatient care. You don't want to be in the hospital.
Right.
And believe it or not, we want to keep you out of the hospital. A lot of care is moving towards outpatient. And the more informed people are to manage their own health, live healthy lives, make good decisions now, so later on in life they're not paying for them, the better off medical care is, the more we can be efficient and lower our cost. So the partnership between Providence Park Hospital and the Novi Public Library really speaks to that, engaging the community, maybe giving you information or tips that you might not have known about healthcare, and it's changing so much. There's always new information that you might not know. Is very, very important for us on many levels. In addition, we're a health ministry. We're a part of Ascension Health, and we're a faith-based ministry, And it's part of our outreach to keep people healthy physically and engaged mindfully and spiritually too. So it's a good thing all around.
No, it really is. And I can really see how this ties into the A Better You series, but
Yeah.
maybe you can make that leap and tell us a little bit about the series itself with the library.
We look for hot topics in healthcare. As a healthcare provider, we can push out all the information that we think should be pushed out to you.
Right.
But as a consumer, you may not engage with that information unless it's something that really sparks your interest or means something to you and your family. There's a lot of health information out there on websites, a lot of spurious information on
Right.
websites. Navigating through that information can be difficult. In addition, consumers may feel that they already know everything. Oh, I don't need to know. I've read it on X website, which could be really misinforming you about what you need for your family and to stay healthy. A Better You series was put together with Julie Farkas here at the Novi Public Library, myself, and Margie, who is absolutely wonderful, who everybody knows. We put it together after talking to people to say, what is it you want to know about in healthcare? What speaks to you? What would draw you in to attend this, and what would edify you healthcare-wise? And we came up with a great list of topics. Of course, heart health is always very important to everyone.
Absolutely.
You know, it relates to a lot of different things, to your exercise, to your diet, to your family history. So heart health has many facets to it. That was a great request. Also, just navigating through some of the issues healthcare-wise. What screenings should you have? What should you talk to your primary care doctor about on a regular basis? Very kind of nuts and bolts, everyday things that you should know. We picked those kind of topics, things that we thought were real, not a healthcare provider sitting in a room and preaching to you,
Right.
but you can be engaged in. I especially liked the topic of what kind of screenings should you have, because people may say, oh, okay, I need cholesterol screening, or I need A, B, or C screening that I understand. But guess what? If you talk to your family doctor about your family history and engage him with that one question, him or her, what screening should I have to keep myself healthy, considering my family history, considering how much exercise I get or what my diet is? What should I look out for? You'd be surprised what your family doctor may tell you.
Right.
It leads to those great conversations about your health, and that's important to all of us.
Oh, well, let's drill down a little bit more. And the very first program in this series, like you alluded to, is called Getting Fit and Healthy in the New Year. I know it's January 26th.
Yes.
It's between 6 and 8 right here at the library.
Yes.
But what more can you tell us about that?
That's going to be a great program. We actually have Emily Schwartz, our registered dietitian at Providence Park Hospital, who's going to come out and talk to you about a variety of different things. We're going to do a little display about different foods and cautions in label reading. We're going to put some things out there that we think you may think are good for you, but might not be,
Right.
depending on who you are. And we're going to talk to you a lot about trends in nutrition and cooking and exercise to support that. It might sound simple on the face of it, but you would not believe how complex it can get. So we're going to have a great interactive session with Emily during the presentation period, but prior to the presentation, we're going to have yoga. We're going to do a
Okay.
healthy, great yoga session. Well, why is yoga great for you? Because everybody can do it. We've got kind of a low-impact beginner sessions we can do to much more advanced. We're going to appeal to everyone in this yoga session. It's kind of the intro to it. We encourage people to wear loose-fitting clothing. Everybody gets a free yoga mat.
Well, you can't beat
You
that.
can't beat that. We'll take you through probably a good half-hour intro to it. It's great to keep yourself limber and flexible, but it's also really good exercise. There's really wonderful things that you can take away from yoga, and we can't wait to introduce people to it. Then we'll lead right into the discussion with Emily, our registered dietitian. What a great way to start the new year.
Absolutely. Well, and then moving on, the second program is called Love Your Heart. That's February 21st, and again, about 6:30 to 8. Can you tell us about that program?
Love Your Heart is going to be a fantastic event because we're going to do heart risk assessments for people before they come into the session. What's a heart risk assessment? It's a non-invasive, just questionnaire that
Okay.
will have you sit down with a clinical professional. You go through, I think it's 14, 15 questions that gives us a risk assessment about you and your cardiovascular health. what we'll then do is be able to say to you, well, you should take this risk assessment to your primary care provider and talk to them about what we've discussed today. If you haven't done a paper heart risk assessment with a clinical person, now is your opportunity. And honestly, I would encourage everyone to do that at some point throughout the year. It's called a heart risk assessment, and it's absolutely invaluable. Then we'll take you through a session about latest thinking in heart health. You know, there's changes in salt guidelines for people. Why would we care about that? Well, salt raises your blood pressure. There's some thinking that salt roughens the interior of your arteries, allows plaque to stay on your arteries, and that's why it might not be good for you too. That's a theory. But we've got great things to talk to you about. Let's keep your blood pressure down. How can we do that? Many people are very resistant. Their body is resistant to keeping their blood pressure down.
Yep.
We're going to talk to you about that and talk about new thinking in your diet, in exercising, and talking to your primary care about how to be the best person you can for your heart.
Well, that sounds great. And kind of to complete this series is a program called Controlling Migraines. That's March 19th from 7 to 8. And can you give us a quick rundown on that program as well?
Absolutely. We have a physician, Dr. Kachadurian, who is certified in migraine. And I'm not saying that as completely as I should. He has incredible life study relative to migraine. And you know, traditional thinking on migraine has changed throughout the years. I have migraines myself, and I know migraine has changed from the perspective of people thinking it's a chemical imbalance to it's a muscular thing, it's weather that affects my migraines, diet will affect migraines. I'm confused about it myself. So Dr. Kachadurian, who makes part of his living, he's a neurologist, talking about migraines and analyzing them, is here to talk to us. It's going to be a fantastic session for anyone who believes that they have migraines and would like to find out what the real thinking is now behind it. I'm looking forward to it very much. I believe my migraines can be predicted by the barometer.
Okay,
I really
we'll talk
do.
about that then, right?
Exactly right. So I'm going to raise my hand and ask that question. He's going to tell me I'm crazy, but I can't wait to find out what he has to say. It's going to be a real good session about all the myths and facts about migraines and what the current thinking is.
Oh, that's super. And really, I guess, thank you. These programs really, I think, will improve the health and the education of our community, and we look forward to this being just the beginning of the partnership between the library and Providence. So thanks so much, Lou, and thanks for everything you do.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for letting us have the opportunity. Connecting with the library is very, very important to the hospital because you draw in an enormous amount of consumers that are looking for information. You've got an educated consumer walking through the door, and we're real happy to be part of that education.
Well, super. And I also want to thank our previous guests, Steve Wogeman and Julie Farkas. And to find out more about anything we've discussed today, please check out the Novi Library website, www.novilibrary.org. Call us at 248-349-0720, or just stop by the library and see what great library resources, programs, and services we can offer, all beyond books. Thank you.